Presentation will be strictly for educational purposes. Idea is not to give you any recommendation. I have been holding this stock for more than 7-8 years now, and we have recommended this stock to our clients. So, but our purchase price is far lower than the current market price. So please do not treat this presentation as a recommendation. So with this disclaimer out of the way, now let's begin with the presentation. So Balkrishna Industries, as we have kept the presentation title, it's a boring business and a steady compounder. Throughout, on the course of our presentation, we'll see what do we mean by boring business and how it turned out to be a steady compounder. Welcome to the non-sexy off-highway tire sector. So if you can see the screen, if there was ever a list of non-sexy businesses in the world, manufacturing off-highway tires would certainly figure somewhere near the top. I picked this up from a 2013 Forbes India article. And if you just look at the pictures I've shared on the screen over here, he's the same guy, but just look at the difference in the in how he's looking. The first picture where he's wearing a pair of glasses, he looks like a normal guy, and look at the other picture where he looks like a James Bond. So boring businesses from an investor's point of view are also like that. If you look at from outside, or if you don't look at the inherent fundamentals, it will look like a normal boring business or a regular business. But only when you dive deep and look at the fundamentals, look at how things are actually happening, then only you will realize that those seemingly regular businesses are actually multi-baggers. So with multi-baggers, if we can have a participation from the audience, you can write in the chat box. Can anyone say how much has the price appreciated for Balkrishna Industry over the last 10 years? Anyone? I see 15 times, I see 10 times from Rishabh, 100 times no, it's not 80 times. I'm talking about last 10 years, not 50 times also. So I'll wait for 5-10 seconds more. Somebody may give the right answer. Not 60 times, not 10x, not 4x. Okay, so nobody got close to it. Now I see 27, 26x. So by and large, as you can see in the screen, it was around 60 rupees 2011 at the start of the decade, and it ended around somewhere around 1300, 1400, so roughly around 20 bagger. So what led this company to be a 20 bagger? We'll try to cover each and every aspect in detail so that you can get a good flavor of how this company works. Some quotes which we believe can explain very clearly how Balkrishna Industry has been a wealth creator. First one is from the great Charlie Munger. Just as animals flourish in niches, people also who specialize in some narrow niche can do very well. So the biggest advantage of Balkrishna Industries or BKT is their brand. It is that they focused only on one niche, that is off-highway tire. So when you talk about tire to a layman in India, there is a huge probability, or there is a very high probability that Most of the people in India don't even know about BKT. Why so? Because BKT has not been focusing, as in BKT was not doing anything in passenger vehicle tires. And the business revolved around export. So most of its tire, today the export forms 80%. 10 years ago, it was around 90%. So most of its tires are actually used outside India. So not many of us know about it. But that didn't matter for the company. What mattered was that they focused on one particular segment and did and became a leader in that. Second one, we are best at evaluating business. This is from Warren Buffett, where we can come to a judgment that they will look a lot like they do now in 5 years. The business will change, but the fundamentals won't. So if you go back 5 years in 2015 or maybe 2010 or even in 2005-6 and try to compare what Balkrishna Industries is doing or have done in the past, it is doing the same thing day in, day out for years on. They have not changed anything. What has changed is only the size. What has changed is only the capacity. But company has never diverted or digressed into any other area. They focused on only one thing, and that is one of the biggest reason for this company to achieve that kind of a valuation. That means a 20 bagger in last 10 years. Then Jeff Bezos says something similar. I very frequently get the question, what's going to change in the next 10 years? That's a very interesting question. I almost never get the question, what's not going to change in the next 10 years? And I submit to you that the second question is actually the more important of the two. And what do Jeff Bezos say mean if we take the example of BKT or tire companies? Automobile has gone through a lot of change over the last 100 years. So you have seen how old technology got replaced by new technology. Now we know that diesel engine are getting replaced by electronic vehicle. But one thing which has remained the same for many years and doesn't look like it is going to change, and that is tires. Whether it is a diesel engine, petrol engine, or any fuel or any electric car, they still need tires, right? So tire is something which is not going to change. And the last one is from Peter Lynch. The perfect stock would be attached to the perfect company, and the perfect company has to be engaged in a perfectly simple business, and the perfectly simple business out to have a perfectly boring name. So as you know, Balkrishna Industries is a very boring name. Boring name in the sense that Balkrishna is a name of one of the what do you say, several Bhagwans we have in India. He's Balkrishna is one of that, and based on that, the name of the company is formed, and it doesn't attract us. So when you talk about Balkrishna, people will not get excited. There are many other companies which have catchy names, which attract people. But this is a company which is having a boring name. Now, when you are not in news, it is a good news. You can see the picture over here. I don't know how many of you can, you must be able to recognize Ricky Ponting, right? He's holding the bat. He's second from the left on my screen, right? Can you identify who is the gentleman who is standing just next to Ricky Ponting? Do you know him? Anyone can write in the chat box. I have the chat box open with me. Can anyone try? Who is this guy who is holding this bat? No, Balkrishna is not his name. No, not Vijay Bardwaj, not Lalit Modi. Some interesting names coming up over here. Yeah, not Arvind Poddar. Again, you are very close, but not Arvind Poddar. Arvind Poddar is the MD, is the CMD, but he's not Arvind Poddar over here. He's Arvind Poddar's son, Rajiv Poddar. So why I asked this question? See, uh, not many of us even know him. I know him because I've been studying the company for so long and I've been tracking the company. But generally, you will not find him uh, in the limelight. You will not find him on CNBC. You will find very few videos of either Arvind Poddar or Rajiv Poddar, the management I'm talking about, right? So why that is a good thing? When we are living in a era where technology is so advanced and when we get all the news so fast and where management is always available, why I'm saying this is a good thing? So let's find that out. So boring business uninterrupted by technology change do not get much media coverage. As we have already discussed, this is a boring business. You will not find tire, and even tire, within tire it is again a very small segment which is off highway tire. So this is something which is not discussed and doesn't get media attention. Nothing changes in those business except the number of SKUs. So the SKUs means the stock keeping units. So just to give you an idea how difficult or how difficult this business is for any newcomer is, Balkrishna today has more than 2,700 SKUs, 2,700 different types of tires. So if you are someone who wants to uh, compete with Balkrishna today, you have to have that kind of a scale. So 2,700 different types of tires is something which you should be able to do. And that is not an easy thing, right? So nothing has changed much. What has changed is only the number of SKUs, which has gone more and more, number of countries, number of manufacturing plants, and the scale. And India is not a major market yet. Hence, many people don't even know about the potential. In India, they have around 6% market share in BKT, in the off-highway tire, and they plan to double it in the next 2-3 years. But majority of their volumes comes from European market, followed by USA. So India, in India, people don't even recognize the BKT brand yet. Slowly, in the last couple of years, there has been some branding efforts. We'll cover that in the later slides. You will get to know how that has affected or that has improved the visibility of company in India. Next point is management stays away from the media limelight. So as I shared this picture and none of you could identify who was standing close to Ricky Ponting, that itself gives us a very good idea how little known the management is in the business, in the investment circle. It is actually a good thing when not many people know you. That means you are focusing more on the business. Nothing wrong with management who comes out every quarter, declare the result, have their interviews on the CNBC and ET Now. That I'm not saying that it is wrong, but what I'm trying to say over here is that many times a management which is not so much self-promoting and doesn't come out in the media, there is a good chance that market as a whole do not recognize that company or business as much as they should. And therein lies the opportunity for an investor who is willing to go deep into the fundamentals of the company. Another very important point which I believe has helped Balkrishna Industries uh, to be a consistent compounder is two things. One is management never trades in their stock. We'll cover this in detail with a lot of data in one of the later slides. And the second one is retail shareholding has consistently been low. Again, we'll cover this point also, why retail shareholding has been low and below 15%. So with this, we'll move to the next slide. This is just a snapshot of Balkrishna's business. It has around 8% global market share, right? So global market of agriculture tires is a $4.5 billion market. And of that, it has 8% market share. In the OTR segment basically means the off-road tire segment where off-the-road tire where those tires which are used for used in the heavy equipment space like mining, construction, all those activities. Any activities apart from agriculture which needs heavy equipments, those are the segments which fall into OTR. That is an even bigger market, which is $19 billion. As of today, roughly around 60% of its products are catered by the agriculture market, 36% OTR, and others 4%. Geography-wise, Europe, as I have already mentioned, is around 50%, US 20%. India has sharply increased over the last 2 years. It was less than 10% 2, 3 years, 4 years back, and suddenly it has jumped up to 21%. And market-wise, it has 75%. The 75% of sales is replacement, and 25% is to OEM. This is a big important point in terms of understanding why Balkrishna Industries has very good margin and consistent demand, because it is not dependent only on OEMs. OEMs may, or the original equipment manufacturers, their demands are always cyclical. Whenever an economy, be it global economy or domestic economy, goes through a cycle of boom and bust, during the boom period, you will see OEM demand increasing a lot. And then during the bust period or the period where the economy is going through a recession or some sort of a slowdown, you will find the OEM demand going down a lot. All of us already know how the auto sector has been bleeding over the last 2-3 years, right? I'm talking about the pre-COVID times. Current quarter, surprisingly, most of the auto companies have delivered really good numbers, maybe due to pent-up demand or maybe things are getting better. But if you look at the auto market of India over the last 2-3 years, it has been growing very slowly. Similar is the case with the global demand of OEMs. That has also been not very good. It has been growing by 3-4%, 5% max. But still, Balkrishna has been able to do well because of 2 reasons. One, their presence in replacement market is far more than the OEM market. In the case of replacement market, 2 things happen. One is the demand is not so cyclical, because a tire will always get wear and tear will be happening in tire, and you will always need that tire to be replaced. So that replacement market will give you a regular demand. The cycle would be more than something like 2 years, 3 years, wherein in case of an OEM, it could be 4 years or 5 years, or maybe even more than that, right? So next point is, as I've mentioned in the earlier slides, 2,700 SKUs, installed capacity of 3 lakh metric ton. That's a huge. And just try to compare that with the current volumes. Currently, they are selling only around 2 lakh metric ton. So they already have a 3 lakh metric ton capacity. Just try to imagine from the concept of operating leverage, which is inbuilt in this business right now. So when this 2 lakh metric ton goes to 3 lakh metric ton, a lot of fixed expense which are happening now and being spreading out over the 2 lakh metric ton capacity, will be spread out in 3 lakh metric ton, and that will lead to a huge margin expansion, right? So that is again a big plus point for this company. And another point is, over the years, they have been really good at spending money on advertisement, publicity, sales promotion, and marketing expenses. We Indians don't recognize that because most of these activities happened in the foreign markets. So we sort of never noticed that until we saw a lot of BKT holding in this year IPL. I'm sure many of us over here are fan of cricket and must be watching IPL, and they would have surely if noticed. I had noticed quite a few times, even though I don't watch IPL much, but whenever I switched on the TV, I could see that there is a BKT hoarding somewhere in the ground. And mind you, we are going through this COVID period where most of the organizations have cut down their R&D and advertisement expense. And still, even in these kind of environment, BKT is continuing with its policy of 3 to 5% of revenue being spent on advertisement and marketing spend. We'll cover these also in detail later. So global off-highway tire market. So 2019 figures over here. So agriculture market is $4.5 billion. OTR is $19 billion. OTR has more margin and there is more scope for penetration in this market for BKT. If you'll see if you'll analyze the balance sheet of BKT over the last 2-3 years, you'll see because of their high dependency on the agriculture market, because in Europe, most of their sales are happening in the agriculture market only. And if you'll read the newspapers or search on the net, last 2-3 years, the agriculture season has not been so good in European countries because of some weather problem. So that has led to a saturation of demand over the last 2 years in agriculture market. But that thing has changed in the last 5-6 months after the COVID set in. So when BKT saw that in the last 2-3 years that the agriculture market is getting saturated and not growing to their liking, they started focusing more on the OTR market. And OTR is the market where they believe that as margin is more and the market size is more, if they continue to do the efforts, they will have a larger share there and much more possibility to grow their business sustainably. So while the OHT market has barely grown in the last 5 years, when I say barely grown, it would be around 3 to 5% CAGR growth for the global OHT market I'm talking about. But BKT has gained from market share, and in future also there is a good scope for that to continue. Now let's focus on what are the competitive advantages. If you look at this right side, a very clear, simple matrix I put over here, wherein who are the actual competitors of BKT. So BKT is into off-highway tire business, and off-highway tire is more in demand in export market rather than in India. So naturally, their competitors are not the Indian players, but their competitors are more in the foreign market. And players like Michelin, Titan, Yokohama, these are the guys who are actually competitor for BKT. Now let us just look at this table. For any global player, if a consumer is being charged 100 rupees, distributor is getting a 6 rupee margin, and realization to the company that is big, that global player is 94 rupees. And still that global player is not actually making money. The reason being, it is a hugely labor intensive business. Labor cost in the Western world is far, far, far high compared to the cost in India. We all know about how the IT outsourcing business flourished over the last 20 years in India just because of this labor arbitrage. The same thing works for BKT as well. So what BKT does, BKT keeps the price 85 rupees, where a global player is selling its product at 100 rupees, BKT is selling only at 85 rupees. And it is sharing double the margin to a distributor as well. And realization to companies coming to 73. Even then, by getting a realization of 73, BKT is earning far, far, far better margins than the global players. The reason being low cost of labor in India. Now let us go into the details of the competitive advantage. I hope this table is clear for all. We can take the question at the end. If we have any doubt on that, I'll be able to clarify. So what are the competitive advantages? One is large varieties, low volume segment. So why China is not a big threat? Always it was told that BKT will have a lot of threat from China because China can play the volume game. But this is a business which is not a volume game. This is a business where you have to have a large variety of things. And China is more is an expert in playing the volume game, where you keep on producing one particular SKU for 100 units, millions of units or billions of units, right? But in case of BKT, that is not the case. In case of BKT or in case of off-highway tire, you have to be ready with large varieties. As we see in case of BKT, it is 2,700 types of tires. And that is not all. All these varieties have different types of tire strength, different types of material density. So you need to be focusing a lot on the quality as well. And that is where companies like BKT have been able to create their own brand. And China for them is not that kind of a threat. Okay. Very few player in the off-highway market are pure play off-highway players. So we know that BKT doesn't manufacture any passenger vehicle tires, right? But its competitors are Titan, Michelin, Yokohama, and other tire companies. For them, off-highway tire forms only 5 to 10% of their total revenue. So this is again a competitive advantage for BKT because it is focusing only on one niche and not on several other things. And that is why if you just go to Screener and just check what is the margin of passenger tire companies in India like Apollo, C8, JK Tires and all, and just compare it with BKT. You must be reading a lot of news recently regarding tire companies to benefit because of the demand recovery and the natural rubber prices being low. None of the news article or interview talks about BKT. Everybody is focusing only on the tire manufacturers, the passenger vehicles. And this is a company which is having such a good competitive advantage, such a good margin profile, it gets ignored. That is the beauty of investment. What are the cost advantages? Cheaper process, better location, and scale. So cheaper process we have already covered in terms of the plants being manufactured in India, plants being set up in India. The labor is very cheap over here, and better location means they earlier only worked from their plant in Rajasthan and Maharashtra. But the game changed for the company when they started this Bhuj plant in 2011 or 12. And because Bhuj is being very close to the two largest ports in India, which is the Kandla port and Mundra port, it saves a lot of logistics cost for the company, because Bhuj is around 50-60 kilometers from the Mundra port and around maximum 80 to 90 kilometers from Kandla port. So a lot of logistics cost gets saved for the company when they ship their goods from these ports. Another very, very big important competitive advantage is it took 30 years for Balkrishna Industries to build its distributorship network of around more than 160 countries. Any newcomer will not be able to do that. And what I mean by distributorship over here, because of their good connection and good relation with the distributors, they don't have to make or keep a lot of inventory. They don't have to keep a lot of inventory in their books. They always have an order coming, and they build their products only based on the order. So that frees up their working capital. We'll come to the numbers. You will be able to see how the working capital is so good in that sense. Then there is a story of this 51-inch diameter tire. Just try to visualize 51-inch diameter tire. These are huge tires, huge. And they started conceptualizing and doing R&D on this tire in 2015. And it is still not commercialized yet. How many competitors or players would be able to take such an audacious step and invest so much in something which is still taking more than 5 years to materialize? A company like BKT can do that because they have the balance sheet strength. They can wait for the growth to come in at a later stage, and that is their biggest competitive advantage or moat, whatever you can call it. Another very unknown fact which people don't know about BKT is that famous investor and author Philip Fisher has written a very good book on common stock and uncommon profit, where he lays down the 15-point checklist to look at outstanding companies in the market. Surprisingly, BKT ticks off almost all the points there, and still we don't find BKT getting discussed too much in the investment forum. Only when there is some very rarely. Still, after 2017-18, we do get to know a little about the company, but still, compared to other stocks, hot stocks, so-called hot stocks, we hardly find BKT being discussed even on social media or print media or TV news channel. And last but not the least is BKT is actually a brand. We'll cover that also in subsequent slides. Right? People don't, or investors often confuse BKT with other tire players and think that tire is basically a commoditized business. No, for BKT, it is not a commoditized business, because a commoditized business will not help you make 25 to 30% EBITDA margin year on year. A commoditized business will not be able to make you that kind of margin. It will not give you an ROE of 18 to 20% year on year, even after heavy investment in capex. So these are some of the brand building initiatives. Again, not many of us know that BKT is the official and exclusive tire manufacturer. BKT is the official and exclusive tire manufacturer of Monster Jam. We all have watched Monster Jam. If you can see this the left-hand side picture of Monster Jam. We have all watched these videos where you see some heavy trucks or heavy vehicles being driven in in a high speed over a dusty area. And for last 8 to 10 years, this has been sponsored by BKT. So that is the kind of R&D they spend. There's a BKT Continental Cup curling that is also being sponsored by BKT. There is a La Liga league, which is again soccer league, which is sponsored by BKT. Football in France, Serie in Italy, and recently, even in India, you will see Kisan Divas Pro Kabaddi. Sunny Deol has been made the brand ambassador because, again, in India, there is more demand of agriculture tire than OTR tires. Now let's just look at some numbers. So I have gone as back as early as 2004-5 over here. Earlier, as in until 2013-14, BKT used to provide a lot of data regarding the number of tires, number of tubes. You can see that. So after 2013-14, they stopped sharing those data, maybe because of competitive reasons. But if you look at this long history, look at the compounded annual growth rate in terms of volume and also in terms of rate. These hard data speak more about the competitive advantage of a business or an industry. You can't have, you cannot grow your rate at 30% CAGR, 16% CAGR, oh sorry, 30% CAGR for a long period like 10 years by not having any competitive advantage. So these itself speaks a lot. So their volume has grown by 12% CAGR in terms of tires, and subsequently rate has been increasing by 30% CAGR. And if you take the whole into account and look at the overall value has grown from 2004 to 5 to 2013-14 at 16% CAGR. Just try to look for other businesses around which are listed. How many of those businesses are actually giving that kind of a growth, both in terms of volume and in terms of price? So these numbers confirm the points which we have discussed in these slides, this slide where we have talked about the competitive advantages. Because when we talk about moat, when we talk about competitive advantage, it should actually show in the numbers. It cannot be just an idea or just something which is there in your concept, in your mind or company's vision. It has to show up in the numbers, and the sooner it shows, the better it is for you to find the evidence, right? Now let's look at some more numbers. See, I've taken the metric ton volume from FY11 to FY20. Mind you, from FY18 onwards, the tire market, the off-highway tire market has generally been on a slowdown mode, and that is why even BKT has not been able to grow its volume. Even after the sluggish sluggish nature of volume growth, look at the EBITDA per ton and PAT per metric ton. These figures, 9% CAGR of EBITDA per ton and PAT 11% CAGR for PAT per metric ton. That shows the consistent improvement in financials of the company, the competitive power getting better and better. And in terms of moats, if we'll talk, the moat is getting wider and stronger as and when they grow. Look at sales, EBITDA and PAT. The 10-year CAGR looks like sales only grew by 8%, But look at EBITDA and PAT. Whenever your EBITDA and PAT grows at a far higher rate than sales, it shows that company is improving its efficiency and getting the benefits of scale economics, and also there is a huge scope of operating leverage in the business. So as and when the sale increases by a little, the profit will increase by much more than that. So those things are evident. And if you take the 10-year CAGR in FY17, these numbers were even far better, right? And last 2 years, I've already said, FY19 and FY20 has not been good year in terms of off-highway tire demand. So some more numbers. A very good shortcut to know how a business, specifically a manufacturing business, is faring well is just to compare their last 10 years CFO, cash flow from operation, with the last 10 years PAT. On some years, there can be some differences, some wide fluctuation between PAT and CFO. That is fine. But at least over a long-term period, say 10 years or so, your cash flow from operation should at least be at par with PAT. If it will be at least at par with PAT, it shows that your business, the cash flow in the business is such that you are being able to convert the profits into cash. And in case of BKT, what we see is the cash flow from operation is far higher than the PAT. So cash flow is around 7,000 crore over the last 10 years, and PAT is only 5,400 crores. Why they have been able to do that? They have been able to build their business in such a way that the working capital efficiency, working capital intensity is far lower. As I mentioned earlier, that they don't have to keep their inventories for longer than 2-3 months. 2 or 3 months is on the higher side. And the reason for 2-3 months is only because they have so many different varieties of tires as orders. So until and unless they make those tires, all the different varieties, you will not be able to ship them to their customers. So that is why it takes around 2-3 months. Otherwise, it would be even lower. And then because it's an export market, their money is not tied up in debtors. As soon as they ship the products, they get their payments, right? So debtor days would be far lower. It is somewhere around 30-40 days right now. So that not just BKT, not just off-highway tire, this is a very good metric to understand the fundamentals of any business when you analyze. If a business is able to generate more cash flow from operation than the profit it is earning, that means the working capital intensity in that business is far lower. And how can that be so low in case of Vakrishna when it is in a low volume, high variety business? It is because they have been able to make their sales in such a way and have that relationship with their distributors that they don't have to keep stocks. They make their orders readily and ship it on time. It didn't start that way. When their company started, they didn't have that kind of a order flow. They didn't have that kind of a relationship with distributors. So that is again a competitive advantage that builds over time. You can't start your company today and have that kind of an advantage today, right? Look at the installed capacity, how it has grown. In FY6, it was only 50,000 metric ton, and today it is 3 lakh metric ton. And still a huge runway for the capacity to the installed capacity to get fully utilized. So right now they have utilized only 2 lakh metric ton out of the 3 lakh. Average ROE is 18 to 20% in the last 10 years, even after huge capex. We'll see that capex part later. There is zero debt balance. Dividend payout is naturally low because this is a high capital intensive business. But if you carefully look at the dividend payout, over the years it has consistently increased. Best businesses and best managements are very consistent with their dividend policy, and you will see that dividend rising slowly but steadily over a long term period. You will not find haphazard movement of dividend flow. So again, this is a very good example of knowing whether the company is good for the long run or not. And the biggest plus point for a company which is so capital intensive is that despite having such huge capex under the way, in the last 5 years they have been generating free cash flows. That is quite an achievement. You won't find many businesses in India or in the world achieving these kind of free cash flows despite the continuous investment in capex. Now, many people think that since it's basically an exporting company, it gains a lot from the foreign exchange fluctuation because India has this the Indian rupee has always depreciated against the dollar over the last, say, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whenever you look at. But in case of BKT, try to understand that majority of their revenue comes from the European market. In 2012, their revenue from Eurozone was as high as 70%. Even today, it is 50%. Even today, it is 50%. So, and then you look at the Euro INR chart from 2014 till today, rupee has not depreciated against the euro. So that means, unlike other exporting businesses, BKT did not gain much from currency movement. So whatever earnings or improvement in margins which you are seeing in EBITDA or PAT level, that is coming from volumes and efficiency in operation and not from the currency movements. That is again a big advantage for a company like this. No trading in own stock is again a very underrated aspect of the management quality. Today we live in a world where when management buy some share, you will immediately get informed that management, and people take it as a positive cue when you see that, okay, management is buying the stock on a consistent basis. There have been instances where management has shown a good track record by consistently buying shares from the market. Nothing wrong with that. But another good point which you can look at in a management is when they don't trade in the stock at all. If you look at BKT's promoters holding, it has been almost the same since 2006. So from 2006 till 2013, till 2012, it was around 54%. And in 2013, they raised the holding only when, for a brief period of time, about say 1 year or 1.5 years, the company's stock was available at 6 times earnings. And they knew that they are doing a massive expansion plan. They are undertaking a massive expansion plan in case of their Bhuj plant, and they could foresee that the future of the company is going to be far better than what it is in 2013. If you recall, 2013 was a very bad year for Indian stock market. It was that time when the market, just before the election, 2014 was the general election. Since 2011 till 2013, the market was not doing well. The economy was not growing well. And that is why all the stocks, BKT at that point of time was around 3,000 crore market cap, 2,500 or 3,000 crore market cap company. So it was again a fairly small company at that point of time. So market ignored these things, that what kind of improvement the company can go through. And mind you, the balance sheet had a lot of debt. The debt to equity ratio was even more than 1 at that point of time. But had you looked into the finer prints, you could see that the cash flow was really good and the debt service ratio was far better than any debt-laden company. So you could still bet on that company in 2013 when the stock was available at such a such an attractive valuation of 6 times earnings. So that is when they bought 4% and they increased their shareholding from 54% to 58%. Since then till today, they have not made any significant change in the shareholding. And still the promoter shareholding continues to be around 58.3%. Over the last 20-25 years history, you will not find any case of pledge where management has pledged their shares. That is again a sign of positivity for the company's management. Then talk about the capital allocation skills. So Warren Buffett always talks about this. You can read this on the screen, but I'll just talk about the main crux of it. Buffett says that best businesses are those which keep on generating cash flows and keep on redeploying their cash flows in capex that can give future growth. If you don't have that kind of a ability to, there are many companies which produce a lot of cash flow, but they don't have that kind of a opportunity to keep on reinvesting those cash flows at a higher rate. And that is why you will see a lot of cash getting piled up on the balance sheet, and they fail to produce higher reinvested ROE. Similar is the concept of Arvind Poddar, the chairman and MD of BKT. What he says is that we keep on investing in new tire building machinery. We keep on investing a lot of money in R&D because we know that our business still has a lot of growth potential. Look at I just taken this snapshot from Screener, where you can see the cash flow from operating activities. See, earlier it was around 300 crores. In 11 and 12, it was as low as 75 crores. And today, look at the last 2-3 years, 4 years, it is somewhere around, average is around 1,000 crores of operating cash flow. And look at the kind of investment they have done in R&D. Many people just look at the cash from investing activity in case of Screener. We should look at this item, the fixed asset purchase and fixed asset sold, because cash flow from investing activity also includes cash flow which is generated or invested in investments like liquid investments or any other instrument. So never look at blindly the cash flow from investing activity from Screener. Screener has a very good feature of giving all the details, that there is a drill down list of what those cash flow from investing activities are. So our focus should be to look at the fixed asset purchase and fixed asset sold part. And as you can see, because of this high cash flow from operation, they could meet their capex plan through their to a large extent through their operating activities. Never resting on their past, continuous expansion ahead. So if you'll see, BKT is always in that continuous expansion mode, continuous capex mode. You will never see, over the last 10 years, 12 years, you will never see any year where you will see that there is no significant capex. And that is the hallmark of this company. Even during these COVID times, all their, apart from that lockdown period when you couldn't do anything, apart from that period, you will see even Q1 and Q2, the Q2 which is going on, their capex, the replacement of Waluj plant, it is under the way. Capex at Bhuj is also going on. Carbon black plant, which they commenced the first phase last year. They have started the phase 2 also, which is going to be commissioned in this year itself. So Capex is something which is very important and which is something which they never stopped doing. And that has again produced an edge for the company. Now let us peek into the current R&D efforts. A company is a great company only when it can prepare itself for the future. As we have said here, never resting on the past, continuous expansion ahead. Continuous expansion only in your current processes and current materials is not enough. You have to be cognizant about how the world is changing around you. So right now there are talks by several industry experts going on that in future there can be a possibility that natural rubber will be in shortage of demand. Okay, so when that will happen, a company like BKT could have a lot of problems, because natural rubber is the main ingredient for their tires. So what they have done, they have jointly formed an agreement with a US biotechnology company, and they're experimenting with Russian dandelion. If you'll just Google about it, you will find a lot of information on this. And it is just like a plant where those materials can be used also for tire. It is still in the R&D stage, only in it is still in the R&D age. I see a comment where have they made any excuse? No, they have not made any excuse. It is still in the R&D stage, but they are preparing themselves for the eventuality. If something happens like that, they are much better prepared than other people or other players. Another example is the carbon black. Earlier, they used to source the carbon black from outside, but when they realize that there are during times of huge demand, this is a material which is at shortage, and that increases the cost also, and they find it very difficult to source, even if they are willing to pay high cost. So they started with their own carbon black plant, and that has even improved their margin. And when the whole facility is being ready, the margins will improve by at least 1.5%. The EBITDA margin will improve by 1.5% once this is completed. So in short, what is it? If you don't disrupt yourself, someone else will do it. So that is what BKT is doing. Now, this is the most important part of the presentation, that is Yogesh Mansariya's story of BKT. Yogesh Mansariya is the person. I've just put two excerpts from a Forbes article and one very good article from Finception. But I would, you can read them from the screen, but I would just try to explain in very simple way that Yogesh Mansariya was the person who actually built this company. In 1993, BKT was actually making two-wheeler tires and making huge loss at that point of time. It was a commodity business, no branding power, and catering only to the domestic market. What Yogesh Mansariya, who was a youngster then, he just started the business, and he observed that this is something which he cannot continue for long. So he started experimenting with export, and then it was his idea to start this off-highway tire segment. But as it happens in case of any family business in India, you tend to have some disagreement, and then there are family settlements. So in 2006, a dispute happened, and the family went through a settlement process where Yogesh Mansariya was asked to leave the company because he had only 5% stake in the company, and majority of the stake was with the Poddar family. And that was a tough moment for Yogesh Mansariya because it was his baby. He built the company from scratch, and made it to kept it to a certain stage, and then suddenly he had to leave. If you'll if you recall famous Bollywood movie Trishul, it has the same kind of a thing where we see the Amitabh Bachchan and Shashi and Sanjeev Kumar, they're having that kind of a battle. But why I'm sharing that story with you, there is a difference between a movie and real life and real businesses. Businesses matter more than management. Always remember that. Once that business has been built, even though it was built by Yogesh Mansaria, over the last 12, 13 years, by not doing anything stupid and just by continuing to expand and focus on their area, the Poddar family has actually done a wonderful job. So you might feel on an emotional concept that Yogesh Mansaria was not given a fair chance or something like that. But as an investor, you are not there to judge families. You are there to just look at business and see how the business has the potential to perform. And from capital allocation, you have to see whether the new management has been doing that capital allocation in the right way or not. And that is something which Poddar family had done in the past. And Yogesh Mansaria, in that rivalry, he actually started his own firm in 2006. He bought out an Israeli company, Alliance Tire company. He got funding from private equity players like Warburg, Pincus, and then later on from KKR. But what happens when the business is from built from scratch from your wealth and compared to a business which is built through the money of PE players, private equity players? He always had that pressure on his back where he had to grow the company faster. He had to come up with a new investors so that the earlier investor can get an exit. So that eventually led to the company being finally sold out to Yokohama in 2016. So today, Yogesh Mansaria doesn't have his other baby with himself. He has again started his own third company where they have again took some loan from foreign bank, and foreign banks have also participated in that equity. So that is how this whole journey has been for Yogesh Mansaria. And at that point of time, in somewhere in 2012-13, when the private equity was there with ATG, there were so many talks about BKT being getting a formidable rival in ATG. Of course, ATG was a formidable competitor, still is under the Yokohama group. But what it means is when you have a company which is 30-year-old being served by its own cash flow, no equity dilution over the last 20-30 years, facing a company which is basically funded by outside money, which is not patient money, you will always go with the company which is having its own money, because they can be more patient. They can play the long-term game. ATG couldn't play that long-term game. So that is where BKT had that edge. So ATG even today is a formidable player. There are I've just whatever I've shared earlier, I've just put it down in this slide. We'll share this slide so we can skip this up because we've already reached 1 hour. So what are the risks? One risk which people talk about is high compensation drawn by promoters. If you look at the balance sheet and annual report, you'll see promoters in the past have always drawn high salary for themselves compared to the industry benchmarks. So that's definitely a risk. But we should not look at risk in such a binary way that just because the promoter is drawing a high salary, I will not touch that company. A promoter drawing a high salary any day is far better than a promoter who is hiding the actual profits and siphoning off the money. So always try to look at that angle and focus more on the growth of business. Even after the promoter taking the high compensation, is the business growing? Are the shareholders getting, minority shareholders being treated well? Is the company doing well on the long run? So those things are still intact for the company. Of course, it is a risk. We have to keep a watch on that. If it goes beyond a level, we should stop being invested. But if you see the recent years, that percentage is slowly going down because the company has grown its earnings to a high level. Other risks are trade wars, economic slowdown. These things can always, raw materials, price fluctuation, currency fluctuation. Mansaria family, we have already discussed. Technological disruption, again, we have discussed, which is if tires get extinct, or who knows if these rubber tires are not in demand, say 5 years, 10 years down the line. So companies already spending a lot of R&D on alternate sources of alternate way of producing tires. But you don't see that these kind of risks are so high that where company is not at all prepared. So company identifies these risks and are preparing themselves for that. And the last and the most important part is capital misallocation. Whenever there is a lot of cash on the balance sheet, a business throwing up a lot of cash in its operation, history shows that the management always has a tendency to invest in some of the businesses which might not be good for the business for the long run. So one example was the USA capex plan, which they announced in 2018, and the stock took a lot of beating. I think it fell down around 40-50%. Stock market participants clearly didn't like that move from the company, and company also realized over a period of time that that was something which was not a positive or a profitable proposition. So they checked themselves and they didn't go ahead with that plan. BKT's main advantage is its low cost model based out of India. If they will manufacture tire in USA, how can they get any benefits there? So that was something which was a wrong capital allocation strategy from the company's part. But let us also try to assume, look at them as humans like us, and have a more of empathy with them, because they are also prone to some mistakes. Best people or best managements are not that which will never make mistake, but best managements are those who find out their mistakes soon and correct them from the future point of view. Valuation, we have always believed in keeping it very simple. So if you'll see the current metric volume, it is around 2 lakh meters, and based on the past 10 years record, we have kept the same CAGR of 6% for the next 10 years. And the rate at which the PAT per metric ton has been growing over the last 10 years, we have kept the same thing. And with that, the PAT from today's 960 crores in FY20 has the potential of growing to 4,900 crores in FY29. I know today it looks like a huge figure, but when you drill down to the volume and price mechanic, you will see that these things are actually possible. And I have not taken a huge number like a 15% or 20% CAGR. I have taken a 6% CAGR for metric tons and only a 11% CAGR of PAT per metric ton growth. And that is clearly possible. P multiple, I have taken 15. Many people might say 15 is a little higher compared to other tire players. It is not just a normal tire player. BKT is also a brand. Based on a brand, it will always have a premium value compared to other tire players who are only catering to the passenger vehicle market, right? And why I have assigned a little higher multiple of 15? Mind you, today the valuation is far more than 15 times. It is somewhere around 25 to 30 times, right? but still I've taken 15 times as the exit value, and that gives us a CAGR return of only 11%. So you might say that at current price, the stock is not attractively valued. But if stock price drops, say 30% from here, this CAGR of 11% turns to around 15%, right? And why I've taken that 15p multiple? Look at the right side. What are the levers for P ratios? Stable earnings, growth, dividends, ROC, leverage, non-operating assets, financial communities appraisal, and interest rate. On all these parameters, you will see that BKT is doing much better than other players in the same industry. If you will say, in case of industry, the tire manufacturing. So BKT has a stable earnings. You can see the last 10 years earnings. Growth has been consistent. Dividend has been consistent and growing. ROC above 20%, even in a challenging environment, despite having huge capex. Non-operating asset of more than 1,000 crores. Cash and cash equivalents of more than 1,000 crores. No leverage. And financial communities appraisal considered as a quality. Funds house like which are long only, long-term funds like Parag Parikh Capital, Parag Capital, Amansa Capital. Those are the funds house which have been holding the stock for long. And interest rates in India, we know that is on a declining trend. With this, we close the valuation part and move to the final stage of the presentation, which is where we give you the closing thoughts. So all you need is a few big winners during your lifetime to beat the market. Everyone else will say you got lucky, but everyone else didn't have the courage and discipline to find them, buy them, and hold them. Ian Castle has said this many times over in his presentation and wherever he is quoted. Luckily for me, I also came across this business in 2012-13. I didn't have the foresight at that point of time, but I had the courage and discipline to keep on holding the stock and buying at different multiples. I have never sold the stock since 2013 till today. And that is what BKT has taught me over the last 7-8 years, is that just one or two stocks in your portfolio can actually lift the performance of your whole portfolio if you are not leveraged, if you are not doing any shorting, if you are a buy-only investor. That is what a good stock like, I'm not saying just BKT, there are many stocks which perform like BKT. You have to identify those stocks and buy and sit on them. And that is the toughest part. Identifying and buying is still easy. You might get lucky or you might be very intelligent. I was not so intelligent. I got lucky. The reason being, I am from Bhuj. So I saw BKT's huge plant. Luckily in 2013, I saw the raw material prices getting slashed and the rupee getting depreciated. And that was the kind of decision I took in case of BKT. But over a period of time, I realized that it is much more, the business has much more potential than what I saw early on. So similar thing happened in other businesses also. As an investor, we should be able to identify them, buy them, then have the discipline to hold on to them. Just because a stock becomes 20% or 30% of your portfolio should not mean that you will sell it. The stock should be sold only when you see that the valuation has become obscene or the fundamentals have changed. Those are the reasons to sell your stock. Just because the stock has become forms a larger portion of your portfolio, that should not be the reason to sell the stock. I'm talking about a retail portfolio or an individual investor's portfolio. Of course, a money manager cannot do that due to some restrictions. And the last point is from Joel Greenblatt, again a very favorite favorite investor. My largest positions aren't the ones I think I'm going to make the most money from. My largest positions are the ones where I don't think I'm going to lose money. So we don't look from that point of view where the downside is limited. Many celebrated investors keep on talking about this fact, but we don't give it as much thought as we should. So with this, we come to the last slide, wherein I'm just quoting the references. I've used annual reports of last 15 years, quarterly presentation of last 40 quarters, con call transcripts of last 18 quarters, some news articles, and then finally I did some scuttlebutt in Bhuj plant. And this is the final comment I want to leave you with while ending my presentation, is the best business are those businesses which are win-win for all. And when I mean win-win for all, let's look at BKT in that way. The end customer of BKT gets tires at a much cheaper price. Second, BKT makes a huge margin compared to all its competitors. So the customer gains, BKT gains, an investor in BKT gains because the business is going well. And the most important point, labor who are working for BKT, they get rewarded very well. Why? Because if you'll check the contract players, labor contract players who are working with BKT in Bhuj, just to share with you some data, BKT provides somewhere around 650 rupees per day per labor for all its contract, and it's a huge business wherein 3,000 laborers are more than 3,000 laborers are required on a yearly basis, right? Compare that to the normal market rate, which is around 400 rupees. I don't want to name other competitors or other listed players, but you can check yourself. Those competitors do not pay more than 400 rupees per person, per labor. So it's a win-win model, which is being celebrated by many investors, like Peter Bivlin writes in his book about the win-win proposition. So even to the level of labor contractor, a labor contractor gets a high margin when he works with BKT. The labor in BKT is very happy and satisfied because he is also getting a higher pay, and everyone in this whole value chain is benefiting out of it. So that with that, I'm reminded of Ratan Tata's quote, wherein if you go together, you will go far. So sorry for overshooting the time, but I really enjoyed presenting it to all of you. Let's take up the questions.
Thank you. We'll just take 2 minutes break, and then we'll go to the Q&A. I'll just take the presenter role from you, and we'll just take a 2 minutes break. In that 2 minutes, I'll tell everybody about Finvents. You can, freshen up for the next 2 minutes, and then we'll move forward to the Q&A session. Good afternoon, guys. Hope you all enjoyed today's presentation by Ankit ji. Basically, we are from Finvents, and we do these type of presentation on a weekly basis. And this is all about us, and we would firstly like to thank you all for joining and staying on mute for over 1.5 hours. It is a very tedious job to be on mute for over 1.5 hours and give your time, especially on a weekend. Next, we would like to quickly tell all of you about what Finvents is about. So Finvents is basically where we organize live events, case studies, and we are developing a social network community. We have initially we made a community of around 400 members, and we conducted around 6 events. Then we have some more 5 free events which we have scheduled till December 2020. Then finvents.in is our URL. Then post December 2020, we have events, but 12 events per year will be free, and we'll be doing some 36 events which will be paid events. So even if you do not want to pay for the events, you can still attend the 12 free events every year. And then we basically have different other plans for FinVents, like offering an LMS to educators, as well as offering an in-depth financial data pulling tool. Like you have other tools, so we have that plan also for our company. Then this is an early access offer that we are basically offering people. This is for limited time only. This is not compulsory for everybody to subscribe to. You don't have to subscribe to it. This is just that we are offering for crowdfunding. So you don't have to subscribe to this offer. If you want, you can then only subscribe. For in this offer, you will get our annual membership, which is starting from January 2021 once we launch, at 2500 rupees, plus you will get a host of other features. The features that you will get are listed here. So that was a quick introduction about FinVents. Ankit bhai, if you're ready, so what I'll do is I'll hand over the this role back to you. And just a second.
I'll be reading the questions out to you.
Yeah, Abhimanyu, all the questions out to you.
So Ankit sir, you're muted right now. I think then we can go forward with it. Are you ready with the questions for the questions? Ankit sir, am I audible? You're on mute, sir.
Okay.
Huh.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so we'll start with the Q&A. Okay, so the first question is from Mr. Sanjay. He's asking that he has noticed multiple individuals and promoter group entities holding minuscule quantity of the shares. What can be the reason for that?
This is a family-owned business, so they have a large family, so that is not a problem until unless and you will if you'll see, not just in BKT, there are many family businesses. You will see there will be shares changing hands within the family. A father would be giving more shares to his son, or they are donating shares to someone, some relatives or friends. So these things keep on happening. That is not a problem.
Okay. Up next, we have question from Mr. Manoj. He's saying that coming to the PE multiples of 30, do you think it is still sustainable, or it can be re-rated in the coming years?
It's very difficult to call on the multiples here. So 30p is not cheap at all. I would never subscribe to this valuation to buy the initiating position. But what I mean to say here is sometimes P will always look high, even if you refer to some of the outstanding companies which about which Philip Fisher talks about in his book, is that high P multiple will always be will more often will be there in case of companies which are consistently performing. So for those companies, you will have to have a longer term view. So the 30p is corresponding to FY20 earnings, and FY20 earnings is after a 2 year of demand slowdown in this business. Now, just try to visualize what the earnings could be 2 years down the line, assuming that the India market continues to grow and in the foreign market, BKT continues to penetrate more in the OTR segment where margins are higher. So it is difficult to pinpoint a number. We don't believe in those projections. But what we believe is that if you take 2 years down the line, this 30p will come down to around, say, 17 or 20. So that is how we should look at P in case of businesses. So yeah, I have covered this over here. If you can see, I hope my, can you see the screen? My screen?
No, sir, we can't see the screen. I think you'll have to reshare.
You'll have to reshare it, Ankit bhai.
Okay, let me just share it.
Yes, we can see the screen now.
So if you see in this, what are the levers of P? These things actually give you a direction wise. If a company is ticking on all the 8 levers wherein the earnings are going to be stable, there is growth possibility, dividends are increasing year on year and consistent, ROC is consistently around 18-20%, leverage is zero, there is a huge net operating non-operating assets sitting on the balance sheet, and financials community appraisal. So I've written Amansa Capital and PPFs. There are other also. At one point of time, Professor Sanjay Bakshi was also invested. I don't know whether he's invested today or not. But what I mean to say is that there has been long-term shareholders associated with this company throughout, and interest rates in India are on a declining. So all these levers point out to one particular point, that P of this company will not be available for, it is very difficult to find, I would not say not, but very difficult to find this company at a P level of P ratio of say 5 times or 6 times what it was in 2013. So even if you look at the March 2020 fall, so I don't remember exactly, but it would be somewhere around 15 times P. When all companies' shares were going down, even then the P was far, far, far better than other companies. So that is a good indicator, right?
Right. Okay, so up next we have a question from Mr. Rahul. He is asking, how is the second lockdown in Europe going to impact BKT, and do you expect that the company to grow in the same rate in the coming next 10 years?
So first, talking about the second lockdown, I would say it shouldn't affect BKT much, because they anyways keep dealer inventory. See, all depends upon the kind of lockdown it would be. If it remains elongated lockdown, it would be a problem for all the companies. But if it is like the last one of say about 1 month or 15-20 days, then BKT will not have a problem, because they anyways have dealer inventory level of around 3 to 4 months. So that should not be a problem.
Okay, we also had another paired up question with that. Do you expect BKT to keep growing in the same rate in the in the next 10 years?
See, we obviously we expect the company to grow, but I will never give this kind of a comment or projection that it will keep on growing. I can tell you how we can, what are the levers we can keep on tracking. So the levers which we can keep tracking is, how is the global OTR market and agriculture market doing? How is the market share of BKT doing? What are the margins? And are they investing in capacity regularly? Because if they keep on growing like this, in 2-3 years time or 4 years time, they might be able to have achieve 100% capacity based on their current installed capacity. So are they regularly doing taking the expansion mode or not? So these are some of the things. At this point of time, it looks like the company should be able to do well. But these levers or these points you should keep on evaluating at a regular basis to see, because what company did in the past is past. You cannot just buy and forget about any company. Buy and hold doesn't mean buy and forget. You have to keep on validating your thesis on a regular basis, see whether the company is continuing with that philosophy or not. So those are some things which we should be able to keep tracking.
Okay, that's great. So up next, we have a question from Mr. Harish. With high profitability, it can attract a lot of competition from Indian or Chinese companies. Who do you think is the competitor of BKT if it grows in India? And what do you think will be BKT's moat when it's going to be growing in India?
So first of all, in terms of competitor, ATR, which is now a part of Yokohama, they are the biggest competitor for BKT, because they have a good presence in India. Just like it has around 6 to 7% market share in Indian off-highway tire market. They also have somewhere around 3 to 4% market share. And since it's a MNC firm with a lot of deep pockets, they might also, recently they announced some 1,000 crore expansion in their Chennai plant. Not Chennai, actually Andhra Pradesh. So this is probably the biggest competitor for BKT even today. That is one. And second is in terms of moat. See, moat is something which cannot be, surface up suddenly one day. Moat is formed over a period of time, and at any point of time, moat is never stagnant. It is either increasing or strengthening, or either it is going down. So in case of BKT, as on date, it looks like the moat is getting better and better, and the strength is getting better. And what are the different types of moats which we can see, which I've already highlighted in my presentation? And those are that they have this high number of SKUs, they have access to cheaper process, they have a better location. See, location is something which is very, very, very difficult to copy. You can't easily get that kind of location very easily, because BKT bought that place long back in 2009-10. If a competitor today wants to buy the same kind of place in the similar kind of location, just try to look at how much the cost will be, because the kind of economic activity which has gone through over the last 10 years. So these are some of the moats which over a period of time should keep on strengthening for a company to be in your portfolio. If it is getting weakened, you should obviously think about exiting.
Okay. Up next, we have a question from Mr. Rajesh. He says that a lot of R&D is going on in the tire industry. What is your view on the impact of industry if ever smart tires and 3D printed tires are coming into innovation?
So these technologies are still not fully commercialized and will not be adverse for the company so far as of now. So we don't know how these things will pan out. So it is very difficult to say how the whole industry will play. How we can be confident about BKT is BKT has the balance sheet strength. BKT is already spending a lot of money on the R&D. So they are in a much better place or much better position compared to other players in terms of dealing with this change. They are already anticipating this change and making the efforts. So whatever the technology comes, we don't know what the technology changes will happen. Only when it will come, we'll be able to know that, right?
Right. So I think okay. Up next, we have a question from Ayush. He's asking Yokohama. Can Yokohama do a bigger cash burn as compared to BKT?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that Yokohama is a far bigger player than BKT in terms of both volumes and size of the firm. But no, in the sense, I would say no. Why I'll say no? Because in case of Yokohama, off-highway tire is still a very small part of their business. So they cannot just keep on focusing on off-highway tire. They will also look at other segments of the business. And BKT, which has presence only in the off-highway tire, are in a much better position. Plus, because of the cost advantage, Yokohama doesn't only work from India. They have other operations also. So on a blended basis, their margins are still far lower than BKT, and they'll not be able to match BKT on that in the near term.
Okay. So up next, we have a question from Mr. Krish. He's saying, what kind of feedback does BKT get on its products, and is it able to build a loyal customer base? Do other customers reorder from them, and are they able to? Do they plan to enter into personal vehicles at any time?
So first point regarding the customer loyalty, I would highly recommend all of you, whoever is interested, just go to YouTube and go to the BKT YouTube channel, and you will find lots and lots of videos of customers, specifically farmers in the Eurozone area, where they had a very tough time in the past, but when they joined hands with BKT, when they were just starting up, they didn't want to spend too much on the tires. They actually got benefited from BKT, and that is where again the win-win proposition comes in from the BKT brand. So you will find enough evidence there. Just go to YouTube and you'll see enough videos of that. And second part was what? I forgot the question.
Yeah, the second part of the question was, do you think will it ever enter personal vehicles?
Even in 2018-19, the management were asked these questions. They very clearly say that they have only 5 to 6% market share, and they have spent 30 years in perfecting this art of off-highway tire, where they see a lot of headroom in a lot of tailwinds, not just in European markets or Western market, but also in India. So why change track and go for passenger tires? So they have been very clear as of now, but obviously management can change their mind. I would feel that management would not change their mind easily, because staying with off-highway tire is working really well for them. So that is what they should continue to do.
Okay, up next we have a question from Mr. Sanjay. He's asking, does BKT comply to ESG norms?
So the ESG thing is something, the ESG norms are more strict norms in terms of the foreign market. Where you look at the European economy and the US economy, and if they will not follow the ESG norms, obviously their products will not be accepted in those markets. In India, the ESG are much more relaxed compared to Western economies, but one gets a feeling that BKT is probably following all the ESG norms, because if that would have been a problem, their foreign sales would have taken a backseat, right?
Right. So I think we'll take only a couple of more questions. Anyways, we have taken more than 2 hours of your time. I'm not seeing. Okay, we have a question from Mr. Vinay. He's saying, what are BKT's margin on the Indian market? His follow-up, there is a slide note. He says that Goodyear is the branded guy who has been 100+ year old history, but does 5 to 6% margin in the Indian business. How do you think BKT will fend off the competition and make good margins?
So first of all, Goodyear is, when you're talking about Goodyear margin of 5 to 6%, they are into all tires. So they are not just into off-highway tires, they are also into passenger tires. So all of you must have already noticed Goodyear tires in your vehicle if you are owning one. So the reason for their margin is not because of the margins of off-highway tires, but because of their low margin in the passenger vehicle business. In case of BKT, the blended margin of all the tires is around 25 to 30%. Currently, it is around 28 to 30% EBITDA margin I'm talking about. And we have been asking management over the, not just me, many analysts have been asking, they do not disclose clearly what is India margin, what is outside margin. Obviously, the margin outside India is a little higher than what is in India, but on a blended basis, the EBITDA margin is somewhere around 25 to 30% in the last 4-5 years.
Okay, I think we'll just take one final question from Mr. Rajan. He says, in Europe, agriculture percent share of GDP is only 1.9% and keeps reducing. So is there a risk for its growth aspect?
Yes, that's a very good question actually. BKT in 2017 itself realized that the agriculture market was slowing down. So they renewed their efforts in the OTR market where their penetration was also lower and where they found that the margin was also higher. Having said that, if you'll see the post COVID scenario, not just in India, throughout the world, there has been a renewed interest in farming activity, and which is very much evident in the growth rates of, say, tractors. If you see in track the tractor sales in India, uh, similarly in Western countries also, uh, the the agriculture market has. However, even if you assume that this improvement may not last long or it's not a long-term thing, just try to see how big that market is. So right now, around $19 billion market where BKT only has 5 to 8% market share. So even if the market remains stagnant for say next 2, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down, if BKT can improve its market share from 8% to 15%, even then BKT will be able to make a lot of growth. And that is what they have been doing in the last 4, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. The market share was around 4 to 5% in 2012-13, and now it has grown to 8%. So more value or growth will come from gaining market share. And mind you, now it is also a brand. 10 years, 15 years back, BKT was not a brand. It was just a tire which was available at a ridiculously cheap price compared to what other players were providing.
Okay. I think that should finish off the Q&A session. We don't want to take any more time. Sir has given us more than 2 hours of his time. And okay, I think we should end the meeting. And before ending the meeting, I just want to give some ending notes. I like to share
Abhimanyu,
my screen.
before ending the meeting, you could
Yes.
just tell people about our
Yes.
website, about Ankit Bhai's Twitter handle as well as SmartSync's Twitter handle, so
Yes.
people can give a feedback of the meeting on the Twitter handle and post the Twitter handle in the chat box as well, and then tell
Yes.
people about our website. So if they are interested, they can visit our website. Yeah.
Yes, so I have displayed Mr. Ankit's personal Twitter handle over here, and I'll be sharing this also in the chat box, so you guys can go over to Twitter and post the feedback if you like the meeting. And also, this is the Twitter handle of SmartSync Services, so you can also follow them. They are a registered, SEBI registered investment advisor, so you be sure to visit their website as well. It is smartsyncservices.com. And other than that, if you we displayed in our presentation that about the early access features. If you would like to fund us with for the early access, you can visit finvents.in and just go and click on early access. And below we have also listed all the features which you get with the early access. Right now we are giving you an additional 500 rupee discount, after which the pricing would change to rupees 3000, and we are giving you additional benefits such as early access to the platform. And we will also get an exclusive session with Ayush, which he will be doing in the coming weeks. Before January he will be doing the event, and you will also get access to his personal novel which he has written. So you can just click on this crowdfunding button and it will take you to the Razorpay page. And if you would like to fund us, you can fund us. And I'll just share Mr. Ankit's.
But again, this is not compulsory. I'm telling this again. If you like our presentations we've done so far, and if you want to fund us, then only do it.
So I am sharing Ankit sir's Twitter in the link. You guys can share the feedback and play on the Twitter. So, Ankit sir, if you would like to share any ending note, then otherwise we'll just finish off the meeting.
So I
Share
just
Smart Sync also. Share the Smart Sync handle also.
Yes.
so I just want to say thank you to everyone who spent so much time with us and being patient with our presentation. We tried our best to provide you some good value out of it. We would be very happy to have feedback from your side, positive, negative, whatever constructive feedback. We welcome all. So please, you can write to us over mail or Twitter, whatever suits you. But thank you so much. Thank you so much once again for coming out and spending time with us. Thank you.
Guys, the presentation, this presentation would be available to everybody 1 week from now. The early access people, they get every presentation 5 hours after the presentation has been done. So those are one of the features we give to the early access people. But it is a free presentation, so we give the presentation for free. But only difference is that you have to wait 1 week for all our free presentations after they've been done. If you are a free user. So I think presentation is now over. You guys can leave. If you want to be a part of our early access, I am again sending you the link to our website finvents.in. You can go to our website and subscribe to the early access, or you can wait 1 week. We'll send you the presentation details in 1 week. So you'll have the presentation in 1 week's time. So
And one final thanks.
yeah,
One final thanks
thanks
to both, Mr. Ankit as well as Mr. Akhilesh for joining us, as well as Ankit sir has also joined us. It was wonderful to have all of you. And on that note, I think we'll end the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, thanks for joining. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.